Here is how Girl Scout cookies changed cannabis forever. You know how every strain now is named after some kind of dessert? Gelato, wedding cake, sherbet, Runtz. That all started with one plant out of San Francisco called Girl Scout cookies. And yeah, the real Girl Scouts were not happy about it. They sent lawyers. They lost. Meanwhile, this thing quietly became the most important strain of the last 20 years, and nobody can even agree on who created it. A single clone of the original was going for $1,000 a stem. It became the most searched strain on the internet and Wiz Khalifa's personal favorite, and the whole thing traces back to one foggy garage in the Sunset District. To make sense of cookies, picture pre-legal San Francisco. California had legalized medical cannabis with Proposition 215 back in 1996, and by the late 2000s, the Bay Area was running the most sophisticated underground market on the planet. Pseudonymous growers passed clone-only cuts through a tight network of dispensaries, places like the Hemp Center on Geary, the Vapor Room on Haight, and Harborside Health Center in Oakland. Instagram had only just launched. Nothing carried a brand yet, and the flower showed up in plain, unmarked Ziplocs. Out in the Sunset District, a fog-bound grid of avenues that runs straight to the Pacific, a circle of growers who had come up through the same high schools were quietly building something new. This was part of the broader Northern California cannabis culture, centered in the Emerald Triangle, but with a distinctly urban Bay Area twist. People called that crew Cookie Fam, and at the center sat a breeder who went by Jigga. His real name was Jai Chang, a Bay Area native who had learned cultivation from his mother and spent the early 2000s doing HIV and AIDS outreach for the San Francisco Department of Public Health by day, while running what he later described as his own little clinic for terminally ill patients on the side. Around 2007, Jigga crossed two plants from his collection. The first was an in-house hybrid he called F1 Durban, a worked Durban poison line. The second was a clone-only OG Kush phenotype known as the Florida Cut, sometimes written as Florida OG. That seed run threw a phenotype unlike anything around at the time, with dense spear-shaped buds, lavender-tinted calyxes, and a smell that stopped people cold: cookie dough, mint, earth, and a faint note of cherry. The way Jigga tells it, the name landed at a taste test among friends when somebody took one hit and said, "This is Thin Mint cookies, bro." That phenotype, Thin Mint GSC, became the original keeper cut. Here's where the clean story falls apart. Cookie Fam's official version is the one you just heard. OG Kush Florida Cut crossed with F1 Durban. But Jigga has openly admitted to planting fake origin stories to throw bootleggers off the trail. One stubborn rumor, which Cookie Fam denies, claims Granddaddy Purple snuck in as a third parent. A bolder underground theory traced to a Mendocino area breeder insists the whole thing is really a phenotype of cherry pie kush that got renamed in San Francisco. Mr. Sherbinski, the breeder behind Sunset Sherbet and Gelato, muddied it further by claiming the third ingredient was never Durban poison at all, just a separate plant called Durb. A clean answer may never surface. What we can confirm is that the first GSC seed batch produced several distinct phenotypes. Thin Mint carried that iconic mint chocolate nose. Forum Cut slipped out of Cookie Fam's control through a 2010 leak on online grower forums and became the most widely grown commercial version of all, while Platinum Cookies came extra frosted, and some accounts swear it hides a touch of cherry kush. Lab testing eventually pinned the terpene fingerprint as beta-caryophyllene dominant, backed by limonene and humulene, reading as peppery and sweet with a citrus lift and a dry, hoppy finish. Beta-caryophyllene, known for its anti-inflammatory properties and peppery bite, became the signature terpene that defined the cookies family. THC came back between 17 and 28% in an era when cracking 20% counted as exceptional. Then came the validation. In 2013, a Platinum Cookies entry from the Los Angeles dispensary Buds and Roses took first place for U.S. mixed flowers at the High Times Cannabis Cup in Denver, and the strain grabbed Best Hybrid at the 2013 SoCal Medical Cup on top of it. The strange part is that Jigga reportedly never entered his own original cut, because every one of those cups got won by people growing his runaway clones. The person who turned cookies from a strain into a movement wasn't the breeder. Credit goes to the marketer, Gilbert Anthony Milam Jr., a Sunset District rapper who performs as Berner. Born in 1983, he started at 18 working the counter as a bud tender at the hemp center, and that's where he clocked something everybody else had missed. Cannabis had no brands, and flower was completely anonymous. So he began jarring his product under a stylized, lowercase cookies logo, and Cookie Fam officially launched in 2010 as a commercial partnership between Berner and Jigga. That same year, the rapper Mista Fab connected Berner with Wiz Khalifa, who tried GSC, got hooked on the spot, and started name-dropping it on stage. By March of 2012, Berner had signed to Wiz's Taylor Gang Records, and the result was a tour run that put the brand in front of arenas full of fans. He rolled through the 2013 Under the Influence of Music tour beside Wiz, A$AP Rocky, and Joey Bada Tollers, wearing the Cookies logo night after night. In the Yoko video with Chris Brown and Wiz Khalifa, Berner kept a Cookies sweatshirt on for the entire runtime, and Instagram handled the rest, because those purple-streaked trichome glazed buds were practically built for the algorithm. Dispensary owner Aaron Justice of Buds and Roses later put it bluntly to Vice, calling GSC perhaps one of the top 5 strains of all time and the biggest new strain since OG Kush and Sour Diesel. $1,000 a piece is what clones were fetching. In 2014, the Girl Scouts of the USA, who had owned the trademark on Girl Scout cookies since 1936, finally made their move. Unable to locate the elusive Cookie Fam, they aimed at the dispensaries instead, firing the first cease and desist letter at Buds and Roses right after its Cannabis Cup win. More followed, including one to Magnolia in Oakland. No lawsuit ever reached a courtroom. The industry quietly fell in line, and dispensary menus rebranded the strain as GSC, while the broader Cookie Fam operation became known simply as Cookies. Culturally, the name refused to die. Legally, 2 letters now did the work that 3 words used to. The real legacy of GSC was never the original strain. It was the family tree. Mr. Sherbinski crossed Thin Mint GSC with his Pink Panties line to create Sunset Sherbet around 2013, then bred Sherbet back into Thin Mint in 2014 to make Gelato, whose numbered phenotypes, including number 33, nicknamed Larry Bird, plus Baccio Gelato number 41, 45, and number 47, known as Mochi, became flagship cultivars in their own right. BC Bud Depot crossed GSC with Fire OG to produce animal cookies, and Seed Junkie Genetics breeder JBZ ran animal mints to build wedding cake, which Leafly crowned the 2019 strain of the year. Cross Gelato with Zachytales, and you get Runtz, which became Leafly's 2020 strain of the year. And genetic databases now log hundreds of direct GSC descendants. The brand kept pace with the bloodline. San Francisco saw the first Cookies clothing store open in 2015, and Los Angeles got the first dispensary in 2018. By 2022, Berner landed on the cover of Forbes, the first cannabis executive ever to do so in what was then the magazine's 105-year history. 2 years later, in 2024, Cookies was operating roughly 70 dispensaries across the United States, Canada, Israel, and Thailand. Before Girl Scout cookies came along, The best strains carried names borrowed from Fuel, Skunk, and Kush. Afterward, they got named after desserts. That whole shift, from chemical to confectionery, from anonymous baggies to logoed jars, from grower pseudonyms to Forbes covers, happened because a small crew in the Sunset District cooked up a strain that smelled like cookie dough, and a rapper from the same neighborhood understood that cannabis could finally become a brand. The Girl Scouts of America were right to send that letter. They were just 20 years too late.